What it do? What it do? I'm Jordan Jean Louis, host of the JJL Sports Talk Show. Um, I can't remember last time I posted an episode, but I'm in school now. I'm a little bit busy, but I'm chilling with my boy Kyle Edwards, man. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Hey
Welcome to
man,
the family, man.
yeah. Thanks for inviting me on. Just gonna have
Yeah,
some good times talking sports and just chill.
yeah. I know we like link up through on the Sports Empire Network. You're on the Big Three. Check us out on Tuesday nights. It might be a conflict because like I kind of do my Tuesday night show too and Friday, but I might have to work around that time. But yeah, man, how you doing? Like how you doing, man? How are things?
I mean, it's good. Got football right around the corner, so can't wait to check out all the games this week. Check out some college, and I'm also big with like soccer, and it's like the international break, so. A lot of the countries are getting ready for World Cup, so I'm excited to watch a lot of that as well. So, I mean, it's going to be a good weekend for me.
Yeah. So let's get right into the meat and potatoes, man. So like I know you are. So if I'm correct, so you're all Boston. Like, are you Boston like Celtics, New England, Patriots? Are you all Boston like
Yeah,
area team?
I'm like
Boston Red Sox.
diehard. I'm diehard Boston teams, but I've been down in Atlanta for like over 15 years now, so I do pay attention to the Atlanta sports as well. But yeah, I'm bigger with the Boston, New England sports teams.
Yeah. So I know we're gonna get into that Ime Udoka situation. I know it's
Yep.
been news has been swirling around in recent days. So tell me, man, you being a Boston Celtics fan,
hmm
don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking any of the players, Jalen Brown, Tatum, they're good, but like, tell me your thought process on this whole situation with the email. Like, they Brad Stevens was a coach.
hmm
Now he's in the. I mean, I'm gonna let you talk. I mean, and then I would say my opinion on it. But like, Brad Stevens was a coach. Um, then he was smart and took like the leadership role in the front office. Um, and then they signed Ime Udoka,
hmm
took him to the playoffs for his first stint with the team. Now this happens. Um, tell me what's going on, man. As a Boston Celtics fan.
I mean, the whole story has been, I don't know, I want to say fascinating, but that kind of makes it kind of a positive light. But I guess the backtrack, yeah, Brad Stevens. I mean, I knew him from Butler. He was a great coach there. So when the Celtics hired him, I was a big fan of it. I was a little shocked when he moved upstairs and Danny Ainge moved out. But, you know, after seeing what he did in his first year in the front office, it seemed like that's a position that fits him. So I'm fine with him being there. And then Udoka coming in, didn't really know much about him as a coach since he was an assistant with Brooklyn. And, I don't really watch Brooklyn games like that. But, seeing him grow into the position, struggled throughout the first half. But then the second half of the season, they really took off. And I was like, okay, so he's built kind of the culture there. The players seemed to love him because they had a connection with him with Team USA. So now with all of this coming out, like when I first heard it, I was shocked because, seeing him finally get a head coaching position, and then within the first year, he's now embroiled in a scandal and it wasn't looking too good for him. But then kind of seeing some of the details come out, and I feel like the coverage of it probably had me more upset than the actual story at first because, Woj and was it Sham Sharania, they put out their tweet and all that about Udoka in trouble, possible, suspension or whatever. And they kind of left it like that. And then by doing that, social media ran wild with it, where, now they're posting pictures of women in the organization to try to figure out who the woman was. And then on the other side of that, you have, Nia Long, who he's engaged to. And she came out and said, I think today, that she didn't even know about this until it was out there in the media. But then Udoka's talking about he's been talking to the team since July, and they pretty much let him know that a suspension was coming. Then you had Brad Stevens doing a press conference talking about he was upset with the kind of social media coverage of it, which I understand completely with him being upset about it because, yeah, sure, it's a sports team and we're all fans and all that, but you're dealing with personal like lives in this matter. And with all the, I guess, kind of struggles with women trying to get into what's seen as like the boys' club of sports. And now we're starting to see them like integrate within coaching staffs and in front offices. A story like this, where you have a coach who, could have been like irresponsible in the way he was dealing with women within the organization. I felt like it was kind of the wrong way to go about it, to throw it out there and then let social media run wild with it and take it in several directions that it didn't really need to go into. But I mean, ultimately, with Udoka coming out and apologizing for his actions and all that, at that point, I'm like, the team can kind of do what they want to do at that point if he's apologized for everything and kind of acknowledged that he was in the wrong. And then you have the team talking about it's not only one violation, but it's like multiple violations. So I took it as they just suspended him because they're probably looking into some more stuff to see, once they get everything, see maybe like everybody else who was involved, then they may just do like clean house. Because I don't know how it's possible for him to come back and coach when you're still going to have women in the organization, and it's going to be kind of awkward with them interacting.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, for the upcoming season, I know a lot of people are trying to figure out how the team will perform with all this news going on. And I do think the fact that they picked Joe Mazzulla to be the interim coach, and he was on the staff last year, that might help kind of fix that loophole that's in there, because now it's a new voice, but it's a voice that they've heard in practice and on the sideline. I mean, for me, I thought it was going to be maybe Damon Stoudemire, but I'm fine with Mazzulla being the interim coach. Mm-hmm. And I think it's right that Brad Stevens didn't do it, because I think he needs to establish that he is the GM side. That's what he's taking care of, and let the interim coach now find his voice, connect with the team, and just move forward at this point. That's where I'm at this point. Just moving forward.
So you think that, I mean, I do agree that, like, in the world of like social media, like I mean, I was born in '98, so mm-hmm. I'm currently like in a social media, world now, that tech savvy world, and yeah. I agree with you. Like, it's social media blows things up out of proportion. So, like, I guess my question to you is, after what you said, like, are you saying that it would have been better? Like, how would you want it? Like, you being a Celtics fan, how would you want them to, like, handle it? Like, would you want to do it privately, or do you think that would be a lot worse than because somebody, I gotta read into it, because like apparently somebody, if this was going on like during the playoffs last year, or like during the season last year, like mm-hmm. somebody must have snitched on somebody. Somebody must have said something to somebody,
right?
And somebody, like, was out for Ime. So do you think that it would have been better handled? Some people say like it would have been better handled, like, how it is right now, but or some are saying it should be handled in house. Mm-hmm. So how do you think that it should have been handled a better way?
So what I think they should have done was conduct their investigation, gather all of the, details and involved parties or whatever, then decide on their punishment, come out, do their press conference at that point, kind of lay it all out on the table, and then decide, yeah, we're moving on from Coach Udoka, or I guess, well, I think the way it's going to end up, he's going to end up, being fired or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the social media aspect of it, I kind of knew it was going to become a problem.
It reminds me of like I don't know if you did play like 2K or like the 2K series.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, it's different, but like you know how like in the my career mode, like when you're playing a career and like so every year they start you as like a bench player,
Yeah.
and you have to work your way up to start.
Mm-hmm.
And like they put the story as like the owner of the team, the character like well in 23 2K 23, so like the owner, there was some dude that you're going up against named Chet Owens. He's like he was picked. You were picked as a my career player
Mm-hmm.
above Chet, and he was supposed to be better than your my player in the story.
Right.
And like so it's all awkward. I mean, it's a different situation, but like it reminds me of like how would you want to approach you not starting? When you want to go to the media? Do you want to just handle it like a man and just like play your role and get points and be quiet?
Mm-hmm.
Or would you want to use social media to like bring awareness of why you're not starting? It's kind of like that, like how like with you using, should you be private and just be quiet and take the ban or take the suspension? Should you use social media? Like there was options you can choose from. Like
Mm-hmm.
they chose the social media route by putting this out there. So that's kind of how I feel about that. Like
Yeah, that is an interesting part of it, because what we do have to take into account is if it was multiple women, there could be an instance where maybe one of the women was married and maybe their partner's the one who kind of leaked it out there, which kind of got the ball rolling.
Right.
But I think I think one issue with it was, I don't know if you saw First Take this morning.
Like when I got home, yeah, I did. I kind of missed like a little bit of it, but yeah, like wait, are you talking about when
Malika Andrews and Stephen A. Smith
went on? Oh, see, I thought that was just for TV, but I think that was real, man. Like,
oh no, that was legit, because
legit.
You could hear in her voice like she was legit upset with the way Stephen A. was kind of voicing his opinion.
What did Stephen A. Smith say? Like, because I missed that part for what he said, and then Malika was like, "Before I do this, I say this." Like, Stephen A. don't blame the women or something like that, or like, what does he say? Like,
actually, I missed the episode as well, so I saw the clip, but the way she phrased it was she thought that Stephen A. was kind of taking Udoka's side and making it seem like the women involved might be almost trying to get some gain out of taking him down almost. But when she first got on the show, she talked about, because she was at the Celtics press conference where Brad Stevens and the owner talked about the situation.
Covering it. Mm-hmm.
And her first thought was, if the Celtics did a press conference, they should have given, I guess, more details. And I thought that was a little odd, because if the Celtics don't know everything,
right,
I'm fine with them taking kind of the vague approach, like, yeah, something happened, we're investigating it. Because I mean, from what I read so far, like this thing is big enough to where law enforcement actually got involved, investigated some stuff. So if I'm seeing that, that means like this is a serious story. And I don't need the Celtics to rush into, throwing out details that they're maybe going off of speculation.
Right.
I want, if they're talking about it, it's something that they've researched, investigated, and they have their ducks in a row, and that's what they're bringing to the public. And because, like I said, it's a dangerous game to play, because this is an era where, media people are fighting for the public's attention. So they may get wind of something and put it out there to get people like, oh, let me see what that says. And they may not have the full story yet. Because another sticking point is Stephen A. kept saying the relationship between Udoka and whoever was consensual. But Shams Charania is saying that hasn't been confirmed whether it was consensual or not. And that single word in the story can change the whole viewpoint of everything.
Right.
And I'm assuming that that's what the holdup is. They're probably digging into that aspect of it and how many violations there were.
Yeah, because I'm reading a little bit of an article by ESPN by by Tim Bontemps. He wrote the article.
Mhm.
He said Boston Celtics owner Wink Grusbeck said the organization's decision to suspend Ime Udoka for 2023-2023 season came after an investigation by an independent law firm uncovered multiple violations of team policies. And I quote, Grusbeck said, "I'm concerned about the situation and its impact on everybody in Celtics organization. I
Mhm.
do hope this represents the beginning of a new chapter and a chance to turn the page and move forward with things to some extent." If you can tell, I mean, I didn't see the press conference live, but watching ESPN and First Tech highlights of the press conference, you can tell Brad Stevens was kind of I don't know, because I feel like when I'm watching a person, their body language, he
Mhm.
wasn't, he was tight, he was kind of damn, this happened so quick,
Right.
but
I think that was the big problem with him is
yeah, my whole
yes,
take.
Udoka's involved, but now there's other people in the organization who have been kind of put out there, and even if Udoka's gone, there may have to be some type of smoothing over for some people who may have been implicated in all this for no reason. And even Matt Barnes kind of came out and said something like
I
he's
saw that.
hearing about details that's way more egregious than what's being reported now. And that has me interested to see what does he know? And
And
if he's sitting on something, then is he gonna wait until the Celtics maybe talk about it a little bit and then maybe he comes out with what he knows? I mean,
and a
it's a
lot, I
messy
mean,
situation.
yeah, a lot of people say that Matt Barnes is a credible source, so he must know a lot than what the media people know.
Mhm.
Because obviously he's been in the NBA and he has the inside. So yeah, that's crazy. But I think my take on it is like what I said in the Facebook Messenger group. See, with that situation, I think it would have been best to, I mean, obviously just pushing aside the basketball, get him to the playoffs last
Mhm.
year because it
Yeah.
was his first year as a coach. But I'm saying that they should have just fired him off the bat instead of because now they don't know. Okay, yeah, he's banned or suspended for the year for this year, but they haven't even said that they're going to bring him back for next season. So I mean, they would have said if they wanted him back, they would have been like, okay, he's suspended for the year.
Mhm.
We'll talk about his futures later on. But he was like, I think the owner was like, no, he didn't say that. I don't know,
I,
in a locker room when they just made the playoffs
mhm.
last year. I mean, I'm not getting anything off of any of the players here. It's all coaching and stuff. I mean, I don't know much about the coaches, the staff as well as you do, but I just don't see because you need a coach to that. I mean, obviously he's that coach Joe. I think his name has been there
Mhm.
and been in practices, but I don't know. It's just an awkward situation in that locker room, knowing that your head coach. We don't know what he did to this woman or women,
Mhm.
but so that can leave some tension in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? And with that lingering, and
Right.
I see them making a playoff push, maybe a play-in, but I don't know. I don't with the whole mess. Like I said, it's messy right now. So
Yeah.
there could be more info that we don't know that's going to come out. Like you said, it's a big case when law enforcement is in, just like the Deshaun Watson case. There's law enforcement involved, but then again, Watson wasn't accused of it, or he wasn't charged with anything. He didn't. He was not. He's not listed
Mhm.
as a criminal. So we can't rush to judgment here on the email. He hasn't been proven guilty in the court of law.
Right.
But I don't know. I just feel I mean, I believe in Tatum and Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown and all of them, but just as a coaching point or perspective, you need that coach that has been to the playoffs, and obviously they were in the finals last year. But like you
Mhm.
said, he's in the house of interim coach, so he's been in practices. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to follow the Celtics this year, with how they handle the whole. And now another question is can he not go to any games at all in the arena? Is he banned from the arena? That's what they hadn't said that.
Well, I think that would
And
be.
he's still
So,
like is he still getting paid too? He's still getting paid, right?
well, I think they I guess reduced his salary for his suspended season. Now, for him to show up at the arena, that may be some attention he may not want
Right.
because some fans will want to, if they see him, maybe boo him or whatever. And I mean, I don't know his situation with Nia Long, but let's say she shows up with him, then she may catch some. So I
Yeah, it's
fully
gonna be
expect he'll
awkward, man.
probably stay away. Maybe he'll show up at like practices every once in a while. I don't know if that's even allowed as well. But I will say one thing that my hope is that the owner and Brad Stevens, once they knew they were going to suspend Udoka, that they would have contacted like Marcus Smart, Jalen Brown, and Jason Tatum to kind of see, how they were doing in terms of who from the interim staff they would want as the head coach. So since they named Joe Mazzulla, I'm hoping that the guys are fine with that. Because like I said, Damon Stoudemire is on the staff as well. And that's the guy who I kind of thought they may have named him the interim coach only because, he has that NBA background and all that. But if they're going with Missoula, I'm fine with that. And also it's probably going to test the leadership qualities of Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown. We know Al
Oh yeah.
Horford. Al Horford is a born leader because he's been around for a while, and we know Marcus Smart's a leader. But this is going to be something where when they go on the road, they may hear stuff, but they're going to have to like come together, become stronger, and just get through the season, and then deal with it next year, whatever happens.
I'm like, you made a good point. Like that's how I meant. Like, but what I meant when I said like Tatum, Brown, like the three
Yeah.
main like players, like they need to they need to not step it up, but they need to maybe they need to step it up. Maybe take that leadership role,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that your coach that put you in a position last year to get to the finals is not going to be there the whole season. So
Yeah.
it's going to be in. I just don't like with that. It's just like the East are getting more competitive.
Yeah.
Got the Miami, Philadelphia, Brooklyn Cavaliers. They're looking good. There's a lot of teams in the East that are obviously like every team knows what's going on in Boston. So like teams might take that to an advantage and notice that they don't have their head coach. But
Mm-hmm.
I do believe, I mean, that I do agree with you that, Brown, Tatum, and Smart and Horford, they should get it together, band together as a team and come together and get it done. But with all those distractions, I just don't see them maybe make it to the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Or being one of
I
those
think
top.
they'll be better than that.
I mean, they'll be in the mix, but with
Yeah.
that chemistry with the coaching and stuff, with him not having a head coaching role,
Mm-hmm.
ever just being under the radar. Even Brad Stevens, he said, it's been a hard time. The only thing, this I quote from in the article on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
He said that it's been a hard time. Steven said the only thing I would like to say is that I thought, and Wink mentioned it already, we have a lot of talented women in our organization, and I thought Thursday or today was really hard on them. Nobody can control Twitter speculations and rampant bullcrap, but I do think we as an organization have a responsibility to support them now because a lot of people were dragged into that. And then he commented on how of the hiring of the interim head coach, how it wasn't expected because this news it was out of the blue kind of
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's a hard from being an assistant coach or whatever, that turn of events, it's kind of difficult for him, the coach that's coming in, because the timing and stuff. So I mean, but the preseason starts next week, and then season starts in October, so they got to get it together.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Well, I mean, luckily he will have the preseason to kind of get his
Yeah.
feet wet and figure out how to address the team and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it'd probably be interesting to see how they play in the preseason and how he looks on the sideline, which could kind of give us an idea of what it will look like in the regular season as well.
Yeah, because that suspension I think starts indefinitely today with Ime, so he's not
Yeah.
going to be a part of the team. So, but like Brett Stevens says, many of these women that many like Boston has. I guess I'm assuming they have women that are well respected in that organization.
Yeah.
And some of the women that like you said, like would that be on Twitter and like everywhere? Like those women that are involved or could be involved are being dragged into it when they don't need to be. But I don't know who that. I think someone commented.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Real Madrid basketball, a great team. European basketball.
Yeah, he's talking about
I guess
Real
that
Madrid.
is that's a fun fact, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's gonna be like interesting to see like how they do this season. But yeah, let's focus our attention next to the Sarver situation. I know we talked about it on the Big Three podcast on the Sports Empire. Just tell me, man. Like, I'm obviously I know that you're looking for a band for, or are you looking for a band for life for him, or what do you? Did you Sterling?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, that's where it's heading. He came out and said he's selling both the Mercury and the Suns, which there's no way he was going to sit there and continue to run both teams, because we know with the WNBA as well as the NBA, those players aren't afraid to voice their opinion when it comes to issues in front office and ownership. Even in the WNBA, we saw that with the Atlanta Dream a couple of years ago when they had Kelly Loeffler, who was running for, I think, governor down here in Georgia. And she made some kind of provocative comments, and the players completely shut her out to the point where she had to sell the team. And same thing with Sarver. Like, there was too much noise being made from big name guys in the NBA for him to make it through this and kind of get away free. So hopefully it's a quick sell, and whoever becomes the owner, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing like a minority owner there, because kind of what I was going to say with the Celtics situation, that maybe the suspension had to deal with because women were involved, and we know that sometimes women's stories dealing with women aren't treated the same way. So maybe this is kind of a showing to back them up in the story. But I don't know. But with the Sarver thing, this would be a chance get a minority owner down there, and boost the numbers of minority ownership around the league. I mean, since it's the Suns, I kind of wonder if people might ask Charles Barkley, because he's loved in the Phoenix area.
That's a good point.
And I could see him doing it. I mean, I know he loves his Turner job and all that, but at least maybe Barkley be a part of the ownership group. And I think that could be like a good story for the NBA. I mean, some local businessman, and as long, like, kind of like Magic Johnson did with the Dodgers and all that, attach Barkley's name to it. The fans down there love him, and it can kind of ease the transition away from Sarver and everything that he did. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing Barkley's name popping up.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think about that. I mean, that's another. I mean, I heard like Bezos is in. Obviously, he's in every.
Yeah, Bezos is everywhere.
Yeah. Everywhere. Yeah, I mean, but like I said on the Big Three podcast, like the N word is not okay. Saying it like in any circumstance. And it's not, and I looked back at the Sterling situation, and I looked at that, like, I went on YouTube and looked at the audio call that was recorded.
Yeah.
And that was messed up, man. I think I'm not sure if the girl or the woman was like Hispanic, or I know she was a person of color. I think she was like either like Latino or something like that.
I think she was Hispanic. Yeah.
And like, she did nothing wrong. He was like, oh, like, why are you posting selfies with him online? Like, some crazy stuff. She's like, what do you mean? I'm not doing anything wrong. Like, he was like, oh, like, I don't want you around them. Like, what do you like? She was like, you have a bad heart and everything. Mm-hmm. That was the Sterling situation. Like, we all know he got banned. Yeah. But I don't know why. I mean, like I said on the other podcast show that like I mean I think him being banned for 1 year is like a slap on the wrist for the NBA. Cause they banned Sterling without no hesitation for forever. Um, so I mean I think they're leading towards a ban for
Well, yeah,
good.
once he sells the team, he'll be banned. That's why I'm thinking that maybe the 1 year ban was to give him time to put the team up for sale, find a new ownership group, and he can slowly kind of fade away. But now with the process starting right away, if they get sold 2 weeks from now, we won't see Sarver again because no other team's gonna sell to him with
No.
this background he has. So it's gonna be a full time ban for him.
I'm not. I gotta look at what he said. I think didn't he like mention like Draymond Green when he was, or
I mean, I still don't know all of it. Like once I read that it was N word stuff and then inappropriate comments towards women. Which thinking about that, like it's been a rough couple of weeks for the NBA with these two stories coming out. But
that kind of like back to back.
yeah, so I think once you're dealing with N word or any other type of language towards, any other race or whatever, plus women, yeah, that's a big deal in today's NBA. And it's interesting that, these owners and all that who are the older ones clearly are the ones who can't handle
They're showing their
the
true colors, man.
yeah, they can't handle the progression of the world where, yeah, back in the day, it was all men, you're in the locker room, you say what you want, you didn't
Mhm.
care. But
Right, right.
now you have to realize women are, they're bigger into sports, so they're paying
Yeah, I
attention.
just heard that. I forget her name. I think yesterday a woman just got hired as for Popovich's assistant head coaching stint with him. I think
Um,
it wasn't the woman that coaches in the WNBA. I think it was a new girl.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, Popovich has been kind of a leader in, getting women
bringing women on.
more involved in the process of, NBA day to day type stuff. Because I think the Celtics even have a woman who kind of came from his system as well on their bench. So he's even once Popovich retires or whatever, it kind of steps away. His fingerprint is going to be spread throughout the league because I even saw in a few like Celtics groups that I'm in or whatever,
Mm.
a lot of them are throwing out would the Celtics hire like Becky Hammon next year because she's made it known she wants to coach in the NBA.
Right, right.
And I think when Popovich used to get thrown out of games whenever he kind of wanted to take a break, she would always take over. And I think she's somebody who has the respect of NBA players. Now, I'm not saying that
Oh yeah.
whether or not she should get the Celtics job, but I mean, I think it would be interesting.
Yeah, the assistant coach that was hired was former NBA player Candace Dupree.
Oh wow, okay, okay.
Yeah, she was
Yeah, she's
let
played
me
with
see,
Mercury. Yeah, I remember her.
Mercury, and then played, she played 16 seasons in WNBA, 5 different teams, winning a title with Mercury in 2014. In her career, Dupree was 7-time All Star and averaged 14 points per game, 6.3 rebounds per game. She currently sits fifth in the league in history in points, games
Hmm.
played, and field goals made. So, I mean, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
Like I said, Popovich is probably the only male coach that I've seen that kind of like so far that I've seen bringing women into like roles. So hopefully, Becky Hammon can land that NBA job. Like I feel like for me, I feel like women can obviously men and women have short temperaments, but I feel like women, when it comes to the temperaments, they can kind of control. So I feel like that'd be good for the league, for teams, So, like I said, Popovich gets mad a lot,
hmm
like, and he just, you know, uh, ejected from the game a lot. And Becky Hammon came in, so I feel like more women that come into the head coaching roles or like, the higher roles in NBA, the more the merrier, man, for real. Like,
yeah. I mean,
and
seeing women coaches,
she
women officials, women
exactly.
commentators and
Now,
studio analysts,
now
all
some
that.
women,
Yeah.
I mean, some women refs do mess up some calls, but I mean,
I mean, male refs are screwing up calls too. So
yeah, it's a learning curve for everyone. So
yeah.
I mean it's dope to see that Popovich has hired a former NBA player in that way. So I guess we can. Are there any more NBA stories to talk about? I guess.
No, I think that. Well, I mean, other than like the top 10 list, but I mean, we don't have to get into that now.
No, we can do that like next week.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the NFL, man. I know we talked about on the Big 3 podcast the Week 2 highlights, games that we liked, games we didn't like. Let's go through them one more time, man.
Okay. Yeah.
Go to the NFL page of ESPN. So yeah, let's start on Week 2, man. So tell me like your reactions to like the different games.
It's kind of a telling week for some teams. Like, for one, I thought when the Rams went up against the Falcons, it was going to be a good opportunity for them to kind of show that they were the team that they were last season. You know, Falcons are a struggling team. So I thought it'd be something where they could get right, get their offense flowing, and kind of move on throughout the season. And like a lot of teams in the NFL in Week 2, you know, they had a good first half, but then struggled in the second half, and they almost lost that game. Whereas we saw some other teams completely blow big leads. The Rams barely hung on, and I still have questions about them, whether or not, you know, they've kind of gotten complacent after winning the Super Bowl. You know, Jalen Ramsey has really taken a step back so far in the season. You know, they went out and signed Allen Robinson, but it looks like they're having a hard time getting him integrated into the offense. The offensive line, they lost Whitworth, who was their big left tackle, you know, perennial Pro Bowler. And now the offensive line's been struggling a little bit. Matt Stafford struggled as well. So, I mean, they're going to have to kind of turn it around and show that they can play at a level similar to they did last year. Otherwise, I don't see them repeating. I mean, it's tough to repeat in the NFL anyway, but the way they're playing right now, I mean, they don't look too good. Right
I mean,
now.
yeah, like they almost let the Falcons come back. That was a crazy game. Back and forth, like it's the Falcons. Like, yeah, I mean, we've seen like the Bengals. They're 0-2. I mean, those teams
that's shocking.
Those teams were both in the Super Bowl last year. I mean, and they're kind of like. Then again, it would be fair to say it's still early. We're in Week 3.
Yeah.
No point of pushing the panic button. But like the teams that like on paper coming to the season, like were the Rams, were the Super Bowl winners, and then the Bengals, which were the contenders. So both teams are 0-2, and let's go down. On ESPN. Let's go down the line, man. Week 2 games. Chargers and Chiefs. Chiefs beat the Chargers.
Yep.
27-24. Herbert went threw for 48, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 8 carries for 74 yards. Mike Williams had 8 receiving yards for 8 receiving catches for 113 yards, 1 touchdown. Down the line, I mean, I'm looking at the box score, like, and then I think we talk about Herbert went down with that rib injury, but he came back and performed. Mahomes was threw for 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So down the line, like, you know, Eckler had 14. He really hasn't produced anything in the first 2 games. But like you said, like, you know, like that front 9, that front 7 is like sketchy because like you say, you got Wentworth, or his name, right? The guy that retired.
Well, yeah, that was with the Rams. He retired.
Oh, the Rams, the Rams.
The Chargers' main issue is I'm sorry,
yeah. The Chargers.
I mean,
I forgot we're on that game.
They're both LA. I mean, they have.
Oh yeah, but like I mean, with with Keenan Allen out. I mean,
Yeah.
Mike Evans had to, or not Mike. I'm messing up today. Mike Williams went off like he had to. Eckler really hasn't done nothing the past 2 games. And I mean, that game was kind of back and forth, but the Chiefs pulled it off. Ending up winning by a field goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, and plus it was broadcast on Amazon Prime, which is kind of a new thing that the NFL is doing now. So, I mean, it was
I
a pretty
like the
good
Prime
game.
broadcast. Just
Yeah,
to
yeah,
throw that in there. Yeah.
yeah.
It's a nice combination of Herb Street and Al
It
Michaels.
reminds me of like how they do like the how they put the games on like the Nickelodeon broadcast, how they do like their own thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never actually watched one of the Nickelodeon broadcasts, but I think that is interesting to do that for the younger audience and make it more appealing to them. I mean, that's one thing the NFL can get right is that they know how to cater to their whole audience, because when I was growing up watching football, I would never have thought the NFL would be on Nickelodeon and doing like a post game type of show on there, running through highlights and throwing on Nickelodeon characters and all that. But it's pretty interesting. And I guess the thing I'd say with the Chargers is I feel like with Eckler, he I think he's got kind of getting lost in the philosophy of the team, because we know today's NFL, a lot of teams that have high profile quarterbacks, they kind of want to throw the ball all over the field. And Eckler's, as you can see with his numbers, he's suffering because of that. Now,
Right.
maybe with Herbert being injured a little bit, maybe we see a little more of Eckler running the ball. But I mean, that's where I kind of think his production's dipping, is because they just put the ball in Herbert's hand pretty much all the time now.
Right. I mean, I'm looking at the receiving yard or stats for like the Chiefs. I mean, they really didn't. I mean, Travis Kelce had 5 receiving for 51 yards. Justin Watson had 2 receiving 50 yards. Juju Smith had 3 receiving 12 yards. I mean, or 10 yards. I mean, Chargers should have won that game. I mean, Mike Williams went off.
Mm-hmm.
So Marquez Valdez-Scantling had 2 receiving yards for 13. Like for the Chiefs, it wasn't like that good. I mean, it was more like that game was more. I saw like who the best quarterback was going to be, like who's going to take that, who was going to take them down the field, because like on the Chiefs side, like down the line, like they didn't really have a good game for receivers. So, but the Chiefs pulled it out 27-24. And they got it done at the end of the day. So,
yeah, a win is a win.
But I mean, missing Keenan Allen was a big piece because that's a big body receiver. So,
yeah.
But Mike Williams is a big body receiver too. Let's move on to the next game on ESPN's list. I believe is the game I went to, the Miami Dolphins Ravens game. Yep, that's the next game. Yeah. All right. Why are you laughing, man?
Because I mean, I understand when it comes to like Ravens fans, there's like this big, tug of war going on with Ravens fans and other fans, because of course, Steelers fans, Browns fans, they love seeing the Ravens lose. But I think there's some fans out there, and I know you talked about this in the group chat and all that, but Lamar Jackson's one of those where you either love him or you hate him. There's not really a middle ground with him. And when there's games like the game against Miami where they lose, the ones that hate him love it, and they have a lot that they point to. And then those that love Lamar Jackson, they find themselves having to defend him so much. And that's kind of what made me laugh, is just that because I understand that and I see it a lot, because I'm one who can be a little critical of Lamar Jackson. But my only criticism of him is I would like to see him become a better thrower. And he's showing that this season, that he's definitely getting there, because we all know he can break off an 80, 85 yard run easily. But when I see quarterbacks like that, I always think about, RG3s who had all the athleticism in the world. Then it took one hit on his knee, and that was taken away from him, and then he was left with what? And then even on the other side, Mike Vick, all the athleticism in the world. He had like the strongest arm you'll ever see, but he even said it himself when he did that interview, and he talked about, in his career, the coaches would give him game tape and he wouldn't watch it. And he was like, if they put $1,000 in the game tape, he never would have seen it. And it makes you wonder if Michael Vick had, maybe worked on his accuracy more, how great of a quarterback he could have been. So that's where I'm at with Lamar Jackson. Like, if Lamar Jackson becomes an accurate passer, a reliant passer when it's late in games and you need points on the board, like, he would be the most unstoppable quarterback in the NFL. Because at that point, you wouldn't know what to do with him. If you play back, he'd kill you.
People still don't know. I mean, people still don't know how to game. But like I said in the podcast, our podcast together, like I said, people still don't know how to game film from. Like the head coach of the Miami Dolphins said that it's hard to find like a what do they call, like, in practice, like the little
when they run the scout team and all that.
Yeah, scout team. Yeah, it's hard to find a scout for Lamar because you don't know if he can pass the ball, if he's going to run it, if he's going to do like an RPO on you. You can't really game plan for that. And but like you said, like, if like the only critic that people say about Lamar is he can't throw the ball, and that's why this year, like in the past couple games that I've seen, like he hasn't really ran the ball as much. Because he's preserving those legs for later on in the season, and plus they're getting Dobbins back, which is a key piece. Their backup Gus Edwards are coming back. I mean, they have a kind of a deep running. I mean, Mike Davis, but he's kind of like, and then they got Kenyon Drake. He's pretty good. Like he kind of fumbled the ball last game though, but he recovered it. But I mean, and then plus we're getting Ryan Stanley back, but. Yeah, like you're right. Like you either love him or hate him. And I feel like I feel like Lamar and LeBron James are the two most hated players like on social media because like LeBron, they compare him to, or he's in the conversation with Jordan, right? And like how Jordan has 6 rings, LeBron has 4 rings, and like LeBron wouldn't do this in this era. LeBron is soft. And Lamar can't throw the ball. He can't do much. Like he can only run the ball. Like. They're only hitting on him because he's great, man. Like obviously, like this year, he's gonna show everyone what he's capable of, and like that's where it gets steep with Ravens organization because like when he plays well, each game his money goes it goes up. So that's where we as the Ravens like organization, and we kind of messed up with not signing him before the season because his market's gonna only go up from here. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I was at the game last Sunday. I mean, it was a great game to go to. It was a good game. Very high. It was like 90 something. Like I was in the top. I was at like 500 level. But like I said in the other podcast on Tuesday, like. You can tell, like, Miami fan or a Ravens fan, like, from the first half to the second half, the crowd was changed dramatically. Like, we were up 35-14 in the first half. Tua threw 2 picks, both to Marcus Williams. One was a catch, and the one he caught it, but he had 2 feet in the inbound line. He almost threw damn near like 4 picks, but luckily, Marcus Williams dropped a couple of them.
Yeah.
But he almost threw for 500 yards. And we had Tyreek Hill double teamed like the whole first half. But I think something in Tua's mind was like, damn, like I got probably 2 of the top 5 receivers in the league, and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Let me use them better. And he did. Tyreek Hill went off. Scored the last 2 touchdowns. I'll kind of sail the game, but But like I said, like the Ravens, like I don't know how the hell, like in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, Miami outscored us 28-3. And we are known as a hard nosed, hard ball like defensive team.
Yeah.
And I can't really place the blame on Lamar because he had a good game. Like he didn't get sacked. He threw for almost like 400 yards. Had I think it had a couple like three touchdowns. One was a 89 yard or 80-yard touchdown run from him. It's just the defense couldn't get it done. And I know we had some injuries in that backfield. I know we just signed Jason Pierre-Paul, so we got him.
Yeah,
kind of a big piece for the linebackers room. But I don't know. It's just like that game. We should have had it in the bag. We should have just, I feel like, my opinion, we kind of got cocky with the lead. We're probably not. They ain't coming back. They just kind of like put the foot on the gas pedal a little bit. But you can't do that in this league, like especially when you had Tyreek Hill and Waddle on the other side. You know what I'm saying? And like,
right.
But you can tell like the atmosphere like switched from like, I mean, obviously Lamar's MVP, but they're saying MVP Lamar, yeah. And then second quarter or second half, it was like dead in there. Like,
yeah, I mean, the I guess the two things that I took from that game was, one, I feel like Miami's being overrated in the media because of these two wins that they've had. If you look at the week 1 win over New England, that game was much closer than the 20-7 score. And 7 of those points for Miami came defensively. So their offense only scored 13 points. Then the Baltimore game, yes, it was a great comeback for Miami. But the one thing that I will say about Baltimore that kind of is one of the reasons why I've never been, like worried about them when it comes to the playoffs and all that is that I feel like at times Harbaugh and whoever the offensive coordinator is,
Greg Roman,
yeah, they can get like really conservative at times,
right?
And because of that, teams who have some firepower on their side offensively can make comebacks. Because I saw it. I mean, this is before Lamar got there, but when Baltimore had great teams, they'd get to the playoffs, they'd face the Patriots, and then there would be times where they'd have, because there's that one game, I think they had like the double-digit lead twice, and Brady, kept chipping away at it, and they won it late. And it's not even only Baltimore. It's like something about the AFC North. They all kind of have that mentality where if they get a lead, they want to sit on the ball, take it slow. And I kind of would be interested to see if they just opened it up for Lamar just all game. Let him, throw it all around the football field, take off when he has to, run RPO action and all that.
Right.
Would they be, a high-powered offense and just completely, blow out teams? Or are they afraid that if they do that, maybe Lamar gets exposed a little bit and that's what they're worried about? It's interesting to me that you could look that great one half and then second half, it's like you turn the switch off and you're just trying to ride out the clock or something.
I mean, 2 of those touchdowns were turned back, though. I was kind of mad. The one was Lamar's rushing touchdown that was called back, and then Mark Andrews. I mean, it looked like he was in, but I guess his knee was down prior to the ball crossing the line. So we could have been up by more, but I guess the rules are rules. The knee's down. But that's not really no excuse. But I mean, that could have been. But I didn't see them review the Miami touchdown when Gesicki. But it looked like he was in by like a smidge. It was a good catch by him. But yeah, I mean, and a lot of people are saying the reason why we can't get like a big body receiver like a D-Hop or like like a Diggs, because a lot of people say that Lamar, like, he can't throw, and that's not the case. I mean, he can throw. Like he's proven he can throw the ball, but like normally, like the Ravens are run heavy offense,
right?
So not many receivers want to play with a run heavy offense when they know they're not going to get the ball. But I mean, give me a Deebo Samuel, give me like a Stephon Diggs, like one like wide receiver like that's like in their prime, and we straight, man. I mean, I know Bateman, he's still young, but he can be that number one, possibly Duvernay, can be one. We got some young receivers, but I mean, I have noticed that Baltimore hasn't been able to land a top receiver like a D Hop or a Debo, and that's kind of why that can be another reason why Lamar wants to go leave Baltimore, because he hasn't had that top receiver. But I don't want him to go. Obviously, because I'm a Ravens fan, but I mean, a lot of people are saying he might go to Miami or he might go somewhere else. I think my cousin Mike said that he might go to Tampa and replace Brady next season, but people say like the leverage is because Miami, because that's his hometown. So I just don't see if Tua has a good year. I don't see them releasing Tua maybe, but like you said, it's too early. And maybe this game is overrated. These 2 wins that they have are overrated.
Yeah.
But
well, I also think that the like offensive system with Baltimore isn't that appealing to big name wide receivers, at least as it is right now. You know, that can change throughout the course of the season. Like you said, you know, if Bateman has a great season and we see a lot of big plays out of Bateman, then, you know, that could kind of change the mentality. Because like I said, for me on the outside looking in, when I think Baltimore, I think, you know, big running back. I mean, it's probably more like the Trent Dilfer days, but it seems like that's kind of where they still are. It's just that now they happen to have this quarterback that breaks the mold of anything they've ever had. And I don't know if Harbaugh's the right guy to really tap into Lamar's potential, or maybe, like I said, maybe Harbaugh's just afraid to see what happens. Because who's to say Lamar can't be a young Russell Wilson? Russell Wilson could run it around, had a strong arm, and could beat you over the top. And if the play broke down, he could improvise. If he had to run, he could get you a first down. But when he scrambled around, he was looking to throw the ball deep. And I mean, Russell Wilson was one of the more accurate deep ball passers that I remember him to be. And that's not to say that Lamar can't do that. It's just that he doesn't get a lot of opportunities throughout the season to do that. It's a lot, because it looks like it's a lot of slant routes. It's a lot of curl routes. It's a lot of quick screens to the outside, stuff like that.
Which is fine, because like if your receiver is, I mean, I would love a deep ball, but like I mean, like a curl route is fine. Like you can get like 5 yards, rack up what they're like they call a run after catch.
Yeah,
I mean you can get a lot of rack yards from. I mean they wouldn't be as much of the deep route, but like I mean that's what. I think that's what the Ravens are known for. Their quick slants or deep curls. Think about it. If you're a fast receiver, you do a quick cut back to the line of scrimmage. You can fake that dude out and go to the end zone.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, like you're right. I feel like Greg Holman and Harbaugh should let Lamar loose, man. I mean, I think I saw that he had an elbow thing in practice. He had like a sleeve, but maybe he said he's good to go for the game, but like you're right. Maybe he could be like a young Wilson. Like in his when he started out, Russell was more of a runner. But as he got older, he was more like a passer, pocket passer. But he had the weapons. He had he had Lockett. He had who was that tight end they had for a long time? Graham.
Yeah, he had Graham. He had.
Which I mean, we have Andrews. I mean,
yeah, Andrews is a pretty good tight end. Yeah.
Oh, he's like in there. He's in the top tier with a Kelsey, I think, and Kittle. I think he's in that top tier like of tight ends. I think. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people say that we can't land a number one receiver because of the way Baltimore runs their offense, and teams want to go to a Jimmy G type of system where like he's a pocket passer, or they want to go to like I mean Kyler Murray, he's the same. He rushes, and he's shorter than Lamar, and but I mean, obviously, I think he has a slightly better arm than Lamar right now. But Lamar, I mean, he's been throwing the ball well this season. Like,
Hmm.
it's only 2 games, but yeah, it's just like what are people going to say when Lamar can throw it on a consistent basis and make way more playoff games? Like, I want to be interested to see like what people say about that.
Well, I mean, that's what people are waiting for.
Right.
So until he shows the consistency in the passing game, people will still say that. And like I said, to be honest, I'm one of those who would like to see him become a better passer. But
Yeah.
like I said, I can see that he's definitely working on it. So I mean, I can respect that. And if he continues to, then who knows how good he can be. And also, he's going to have to win playoff games before people really start taking the Ravens seriously. Because right now, you look at the Ravens regular season, it's not going to mean much to a lot of people. They're going to want to see what does Baltimore look like. Let's say going to Buffalo, hostile environment, a team that likes to blitz, likes to get up on wide receivers. Can Lamar break down a defense like that, get put points on the board and win a game like that? Until he does it, that's what people are going to hold on to. Or going to Kansas City, getting locked into a shootout like the Buffalo Kansas City game last season. If you took Buffalo out of that equation, put the Ravens in, would that game have gone the same way, or would Baltimore have gotten blown out? So I think those are the questions that he can only answer with actually doing it in the playoffs. I mean,
Right.
it's unfortunate because some guys get the benefit of the doubt, and you know, if they don't win in the playoffs, people apologize for them. And then there's other guys who, if they don't do it, that's what people use to kind of keep them down. I mean, that's the nature of being the quarterback and being a well-known quarterback around the league as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, and think about like Lamar. I'm looking at the stats. Like, went 21 for 29, 318 yards, 11 a yard on average, 3 touchdowns. I mean, didn't sacked at all. Tua had almost 500 pass yards. Had 2 interceptions. But he still played a good game in the second half.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like like we both said, it's still early in the season. But like, do you still like with that loss, like that, would that come behind? Would that come behind win by Miami? Do you still see or Baltimore as like a threat to like make a playoff run? Like, or do you think it's too early? I mean, obviously, we had New England and we had the
Yeah.
Bills. But like, I mean, a lot of people still had the Ravens as one of the most scariest teams in the AFC. And
I've
the way you're taking out the Browns are kind of like with the 2-1, I believe.
Yeah.
Steelers are 1-2. Bengals are 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
That's just in the AFC North. I mean, Vegas kind of like in there.
Yeah.
But like, do you see Baltimore as like that top scary team in the mix
So
after 2 games?
right. So for me, when I look at the AFC and looking at the playoffs, I feel like there's teams that I'm comfortable picking them no matter where they play. And right now that'd be like Buffalo, Kansas City. Maybe that might be it right now. And then you look at kind of the next tier where matchups are going to be so important for them. And I think Baltimore's one of those teams. Now, if Baltimore could get to the point where they were like a number one seed and the playoffs kind of ran through Baltimore,
Right.
I'd feel more comfortable about them. But if they're caught in a matchup against a Buffalo, a Kansas City, or I guess maybe the Chargers, if the Chargers are right, because the Chargers can put up points, if they had to go on the road to teams like that, I'd be worried about them. So I mean, yes, I would say they are a scary team. It's just that the situation is going to have to be right for them in the playoffs, just the way I see it right now. But But I mean, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they came out of the AFC.
Mhm.
No, not at all. But if they had to go to Buffalo or Kansas City or something like for an AFC championship game, I'd be worried about picking them to win it.
Yeah, I mean, just depending on how the AFC North shapes up, I think we still can get that division.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, they should win the division.
they should the way things are going. I mean, the Bengals can turn around. We'll see.
Right.
I mean, what they have the who do they play this week? The Jets, I think.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Yep. They do.
So yeah, I mean that should be a W for the Bengals. But hey, they beat the Browns last week, the Jets, so by 1 point.
Yeah.
Um, but let's get to the next game. Let me see what's on ESPN. And we don't have to go through all the games because there's a lot of games in week 2. We can go over just the top, like the top
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah. That's
I
fine.
know. So I guess the next game on the list would be the Niners and Seahawks. I know we talked about that game on our show. I mean, Niners destroyed the Seahawks
Mm-hmm.
by 20 points. Trey Lance got hurt that game, and Jimmy G came in, and like we said, thank God that the Niners had some sense in signing Jimmy G because they would have been screwed if they didn't.
Yeah.
But they didn't know. But they didn't know that Trey Lance was going to get hurt. Sounds like
Right.
it was
I
planned.
wouldn't
So
give the Niners too much credit in that because they made it known they were going to trade Garoppolo.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
then Garoppolo, I think, got hurt in the offseason or had surgery or something. And that kind of hurt their negotiations with other teams. And then by the time Garoppolo came back and was healthy and good to go, basically all of the other starting positions were taken. Now, maybe come the trade deadline, they might have been able to do something, but they obviously can't do that now with Lance being down. And
Exactly.
I mean, even for Trey Lance, yeah, they gave him the starting role, but he had a lot to prove this season. And it just stinks that he only got like a game and a half in before this happened to him. Because it would have been interesting to see his progression throughout the season to see how good he could have been, come mid-season or late in the year. But yeah, so yeah, you lose your starting quarterback, but luckily you get to turn to the guy who took you to the NFC Championship game last season. So
Gosh, you
yeah,
guys.
they definitely lucked out in that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I know the Giants. They're 2-0. They beat the Panthers 19-16.
Yeah.
Patriots beat Steelers 17-14. Colts got shellacked by the Jaguars 24-0. No surprise there.
Well, the interesting thing with the Jaguars is I know they've been so bad these past couple of seasons,
Yeah,
but when I looked at their schedule and kind of that division, part of me was kind of looking at them like I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow found a way to win that division. Because everybody's picking the Colts because the Colts have all this talent,
they got
and
signed
you
Matt
look
Ryan.
right. They get Matt Ryan. He's supposed to be an upgrade over Carson Wentz, but if you look at Jacksonville, Jacksonville has been bad so long that they've accumulated a lot of talent down there. And all it really took was probably getting the right coach there because the Urban Meyer experiment blew up in their face. Doug Peterson, he's coming off what he did with Philly a couple of years ago, winning that Super Bowl. Maybe he's the guy who turns it around there. Trevor Lawrence has talent, can make some mistakes. Travis Etienne Jr., the running back they took out of Clemson as well. He missed all of last season, and he's kind of had a slow start this year. But they have James Robinson, who was a beast of a running back, I think last year or a couple of years ago. Wide receivers are a little up in the air, but Christian Kirk looks like, you know, taking him away from Arizona, and he's become like a legit number one wide receiver in Jacksonville, which is kind of what they wanted from him in Arizona to be complementary to DeAndre Hopkins. but it just didn't seem like it worked there. And in that division, the Texans are still rebuilding. Tennessee, nobody really sure about what they are anymore because Tannehill struggles mightily, and Derrick Henry is getting up there for a running back. And if the Colts continue to struggle, why not Jacksonville?
Yeah, I mean, you bring up all good points. I mean, I guess everyone was shocked that you Jaguar. I mean, they're only 1-1.
Right. But
So I mean,
they almost look like they're playing the best football in that division.
exactly. Yeah, that's. I mean, but the fact that they didn't put up no points against the Jaguars is kind of like it's crazy. Um, Falcons are 27, or Falcons lost 27-31 to the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Bengals lost to the Cowboys 2017. We went over on the other show. What's going on? An ads playing. What is this going on? This ad playing. Oh man, where's that coming from? Oh, right here. Jesus. Okay, I got to pause it. All right. I'm not sure if you could have heard. Did you hear that advertisement?
Nah, I mean, I think I heard something like playing, but it wasn't,
yeah, it was like from the ESPN website.
Yeah, it wasn't audible enough, so I didn't really hear it, but I could tell something was, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Broncos beat the Texans 16-9. Cardinals beat the Raiders 29-23 on a comeback win. They were down like 0. They're like 20-0, right, or something like that.
Cardinals. I just know they were down like
they were down
scores late in the third quarter, and then kind of the image that's been going around with the guy in the back of the end zone like popping champagne and celebrating. But then, them turning around and losing the game. So that's kind of been the image for the Raiders so far.
Right.
And the Raiders are another interesting team where people were saying the whole AFC West is going to make the playoffs, but it looks like I don't think the Raiders are ready for that. And even the Chargers have kind of struggled a little bit. And plus with Herbert hurting his ribs, we're going to see what that does to them. And it's probably going to come down to the Chiefs and, well, you can't even say the Broncos because the Broncos have struggled so far. So a lot of people wanted to write off the Chiefs in that division, but it looks like, at least for this year, they might still be the class of that division.
Right. Then you got the Packers beating the Bears by like 17. Bills smacking the Titans 41-7. Then they had the Eagles beating the Vikings 24-7. So I mean, a lot of big W's by these teams.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of upsets like we saw in Miami and the Cardinals game. So let's move on to like week 3, man.
Yep.
I'm not sure if your predictions changed from from Tuesday. But so the Browns. We did you write down your predictions?
I think I wrote them down somewhere, but I can kind of remember them.
Yeah. So the Browns beat the Steelers 29-17. I think I had the Browns beating the Steelers because I didn't know what the Steelers' quarterback situation was going to be. And I didn't have faith in Trubisky, so I think I had the Browns in that one. So they won 29-17. Who'd you have in that game?
I remember taking the Browns because I thought Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt would be able to sustain long drives and take some of the pressure off of Jacoby Brissett. And we pretty much saw that because Nick Chubb, I mean, when Nick Chubb came out of Georgia, I knew he was going to be a good running back because Georgia just has a long line of great running backs that come through there. But I will say I am kind of surprised at how dominant he's looked in stretches when he plays. I mean, against the Steelers, he was running over guys, juking them, just doing what he wanted to. And then for Cleveland to then, back him up with Kareem Hunt, who's a guy who should be a starting running back probably in this league, but only because Nick Chubb is better than he is. He's like a third down back, change of pace type of back. It makes them dangerous. And if Jacoby Brissett can keep them afloat until Deshaun Watson comes back, Cleveland could be a team that sneaks in as a wild card team.
I mean, that can be the case. That can be the case for real. I mean, like you said, like you mean they kind of had they had Myles Garrett. Even though he kind of had he didn't really get to the quarterback as much.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you said, the running backs Chubb. They have Kareem Hunt like on the third down, 4th and 1 situations.
Yeah.
Third down back. They have. They still have us to play the Ravens in the division, and it's not hard. I mean, but any given game, we've seen with the Ravens Miami game, like any game is not really a given game. So like anything can happen. Like what I'm saying. So, but if the Browns can hold it together, without Watson and had Brissett leading the charge, I mean, they could do something. Like with the Bengals 0-2, they really like. It might be the Browns and Ravens fight for the number 2 in the division, the way the Ravens or Steelers and Bengals are. But I think Ravens had that division in the AFC. Let's go. Let's go to the next game. Chiefs and Colts. Who do you have winning that game?
I mean, I think this one should be an easy one. I would go Chiefs only because of the Colts just look like it's a struggle right now for them. And yeah, the game's in Indianapolis, but I just can't put enough faith in the Colts to beat a Chiefs team that looks like, they can still run the same offense, even though they don't have Tyreek Hill. But they still have enough pieces there to still put points on the board. I mean, the only bet the Colts will have is the Chiefs come out struggle early on like they did against the Chargers. And, you get Jonathan Taylor to, go off running the ball and set up Matt Ryan for play action. Because that's where Matt Ryan is at his best, is if the running game's going, the offensive line is blocking for him and he can play action, teams to death. Also, Pittman's been kind of hobbled this past week because he didn't play last week. Have to see if he's able to play because they're definitely going to need him if they're going to want to beat the Chiefs. But yeah, I'd go with the Chiefs in that one probably pretty easily.
Okay, yeah, I think I had the Chiefs winning that game too. Just because of course they're 0-1, or we're actually 0. Well, they're 0-2 now, right?
No, they're 1-1.
Yeah.
They had a tie with the Texans, which I mean, you might as well count that as a loss. But
yeah. So I mean, I had them going 1-2, because they're going up against Mahomes, and I just feel like that. I mean, even though I like Jonathan Taylor, man, he's nice for their running back, but obviously he's not the quarterback.
But because of their injuries at the wide receiver spot, it makes it easy for defenses to key in on Taylor. So
exactly. So the next game is the game we're looking forward to, Ravens and Patriots. Did you say the Ravens in that game, or did you beat the Patriots to win that game?
So the weird thing is, I think on the big three, I said I'd go Ravens only because I still think there are questions with the Patriots offensively. I think the game could look very similar to the Patriots-Steelers game this past week, where the Patriots defense, even though it's going to be a tough assignment for them to, corral Lamar Jackson, make sure Bateman doesn't get free. And if Dobbins and those guys, well, I think Gus Edwards is out still, I think.
Yeah, I think he's out for a little bit.
Right. But if Dobbins comes back and, that's just another part of the equation you have to factor into when the Ravens go RPO or, that formation where I think Lamar's kind of in pistol, and he has like two running backs to the side, and he has another running back behind him. Those formations are the ones like if you're not disciplined on defense, you can make a big mistake, and the Ravens can get big chunks of yards out of that. So if the Patriots can kind of keep everything in front of them, force Lamar to methodically move down the field consistently, take away the big play, I think they have a good chance at it. Um, I feel like as the we get close to the game, I'm kind of leaning more towards the Patriots like pulling the upset there because I think Mac Jones in the offense isn't as bad as people make it out to be. It'll just be they can't turn the ball over because Baltimore will make you pay.
Yeah, I mean, I think Baltimore's like they're like a 2.5 point favorite in that game right
Yeah.
now. So, I mean, I would say, I mean, it could come down to like a Tucker situation. I mean, or we could be up by a lot, and then not saying blow y'all out, but I'm saying it like maybe like it'll be the way Baltimore's offense looked in the first half against Miami.
Right.
I mean, I feel like they've learned their lesson of how to close games out, especially if Jason Pierre-Paul can play this game. I'm
Hmm.
not sure if he has a physical or is ready to play. I'm pretty sure he should play, but
He might be like limited snaps because he hasn't played in a little bit, so he might have to get
like
kind of back
activated.
into game shape.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if Baltimore can have that strong first half against Miami, I feel like it should be a wrap. But
Hmm.
it could come to, since it's a 2.5 point favorite. I can see it come down to like a kicker, like or two of the kickers, like.
Yeah.
So I have that probably. I have that Ravens win like I had them win 24-21
Hmm.
Ravens. That's
I
my
mean,
score in that
also
game.
a factor could be Lamar's elbow or whatever's
Yeah,
going
it
on
could be.
there. If we see early on him being a little bit inaccurate or maybe a little gun shy and looking to run all the time, then maybe that sways it more in New England's favor because there's going to come a point in the game where he's going to have to make a big throw on like a big third down or something. And if he's a little iffy about doing that, maybe the Patriots get a turnover out of it. But it's definitely going to be it's a definitely a tough game to pick. I will say that.
For sure, for sure. The next game we have Niners and Broncos. I think I picked the Niners to win that because I mean that might be another close game too.
Hmm.
San Francisco's a 1/2 point favorite. So I mean that game could come down to a field goal as well, a close game. But like Wilson is kind of having. I mean, from the first two games, kind of having a not a bad season, but not a season where people expected him to have
Right.
off the bat. And Jimmy G's coming. I think it's his first start of the season
Yeah.
after him coming, following behind the injury of Trey Lance. So, I mean, it could be. I mean, I feel like I think I said that Niners on the other show because they had the better receiving course in Debo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and
Hmm.
George Kittle. So I mean, and Nick Bosa on the other side on the defense. I feel like they have the better roster, but not knocking anything off like of Williams or Russell or like Sutton
Hmm.
or Jerry Judy. But I feel like the Niners had that game. It could be a close one.
Yeah. I think for this one, like if Trey Lance was starting for the Niners, I'd probably go with the Broncos because it was still a struggle for him, just becoming a starter a couple of weeks ago. But with Garoppolo there, I think, you know, the Niners do have more talent and Denver has struggled mightily. Javante Williams will probably be the key for Denver because he brings something to the offense that Melvin Gordon just can't. I mean, Melvin Gordon, he's not a burner. He's he's almost their short yardage back at this point. But Williams gives them speed in the backfield, and because of that, it's given. Russell Wilson a little bit more time to kind of figure it out. Because I thought when he got there, he was going to hit the ground running, no problem. Between Sutton, Judy, they have like Tim Patrick. I'm not even. He might be hurt, but he was there. Melvin Gordon, guys like that. I thought it would have been his playground, but it's been a real struggle. And the interesting thing is, like, some people in Seattle were saying that Russell Wilson was kind of falling out of favor in Seattle because he held onto the ball too much. Where Pete Carroll wanted him to get rid of the ball quickly and move the ball like that. And I've kind of seen that in some of the games I've seen with Denver, that Wilson holds on so much that he's ended up taking sacks when it's not necessary. And that's not something you want to see in a veteran quarterback, but I do think he is smart enough to figure that out and kind of cut that out. And if he can do that, then they could beat the Niners. But I would go with the Niners in that one as well. I just think they're, between Deebo Samuel and how versatile he is, they're just the better team right now.
Yeah. Like, speaking of the Ravens game, like, since you're a New England fan, how do you watch the games? Like, it's not like a local game.
Right. Well, there's like a couple ways I guess I can. If I can find some like website or something that might be showing it.
Yeah.
And there's also NFL Plus, where if you go with the premium package, you can watch the games like right after once the game's over. NFL Plus puts all the games on their service right after the final, so you can watch the game.
It doesn't make sense. Like, why would they do that? Like, why would it be where you can watch it live? Like, that's what that's what I thought it was. Like,
but the thing was, that's basically their DirecTV NFL Sunday ticket package, and I think DirecTV has it for one more year this season. So next season, they could put that on NFL Plus, but I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll probably send it out to, like, I know Amazon wants it. Since Amazon got Thursday Night Football, they want Sunday ticket now. Apple TV wants it because Apple TV is trying to get into the sports market. They just signed that big deal with MLS, and they have a deal with Major League Baseball. And I think if they do that, maybe it'll become more accessible to people. The problem is not a lot of people have DirecTV anymore. So NFL Sunday tickets kind of just sitting out there.
Yeah, I got
dying.
Yeah, I got Xfinity, so I don't have DirecTV. So,
but I think because I have Xfinity too, so I think you can sign up for a Sunday ticket. But I mean, Sunday tickets like expensive too.
Well, you can get it through Xfinity Sunday ticket. I thought it was DirecTV.
I think you can.
Okay,
but I think it's like its own entity on Xfinity. It's not like, I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, the NFL Plus thing. I thought when they announced it, I was like, oh, okay, now I'll be away. But I mean, the premium package isn't bad because you can still watch the full game. It'll just be after the game's actually played, and you can get like the all 22 camera, so you can see like every player on the field in view and watch it kind of like how coaches watch the game.
Okay.
And you can get like the 45-minute version, so it cuts out like all the huddles and the timeouts and all that. So it's just play after play after play, and you see the whole thing. So that's like the two ways I go about watching them.
Got you. Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I usually I stream it, or if it's on the national TV, like ESPN, I'll watch it. But like the last couple of games have been like local because they've been one's been at the MetLife, and then I was in person for the Miami game or the Ravens game in person. So, but we only have like 5 or 6 primetime games this year. But yeah, let's move on to the next game. I think we have the Texans and Bears. That's kind of like a toss up. But I kind of had the Texans. I don't know because Chicago, they're a 2.5 point favorite. Man.
Well, I think that's because, like you said, both teams are pretty similar.
Yeah.
And I think the Bears are only 2.5 point favorite because it's in Chicago. So my thing is, if the Texans probably run Damian Pierce more, I think they'll be better for it. Because Davis Mills is, he's not a top tier quarterback. He's closer to the bottom, but he's not as bad as I think people make him out to be. He's kind of struggled so far this season, but I would go with the Bears only because Fields' mobility has kept them in both games kind of so far. The Texans defense, though, surprisingly is pretty good. So, and Justin Fields has shown the ability to kind of throw interceptions. So that'd be the Texans' best opportunity, but I think the Bears win it. A very close game, probably low scoring. It'd probably be some like odd score, like, I don't know, 19-16 or 18-15, some like odd score like that.
Yeah, I see that like a weird that odd score too, like because it can go either way. Because both teams are kind of like, it's all right. Yeah, I mean, I guess I would agree with you. Like, it'd be like a close game. I don't see either team blowing each other out. So I feel like it's gonna be like whoever the better quarterback is in that game.
Right. Yeah. That's probably all it'll come down to. Whichever quarterback doesn't throw an interception, their team will probably win.
It's a lot of games. I mean, you don't have to go through all of them because it's going to take up a lot of time.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can kind of.
I know the Bengals, Jets. I mean, I don't know if it's a toss up too because, both teams are kind of like, well, one team is 1-1, Bengals are 0-2. So, I mean, I'll say the Bengals because they're a 6.5 point favorite against the Jets, which is probably about right because like they had a better team with Burrows.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another game, toss-up game, because they should have beat the Cowboys. I got the LA Rams and the Cardinals. I mean, basically, we went through all the picks on our other show.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys, Giants. That can go. I mean, that can go either way because I mean they're 2-0. Giants are 2-0. Cowboys 1-1. Yeah, I mean, all these games are kind of like toss-ups down the line, like Vikings, Lions, Eagles, Commanders. I don't have the Eagles beating the Commanders by a lot. Saints, Panthers. But I'm not sure if you want to go through every game because we already went through our picks for our show.
Yeah, I mean, no, we don't have to. I mean, this is your show, man.
Man.
Go wherever you want to go, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think we get into here because we already went through the picks on today's show.
Yeah,
they really haven't changed much since like we last had the show, but yeah, I guess we can end it here, man. But I'm your host Jordan John of the week. I'm my co-host Kyle Edwards, man. Welcome to the team, man. First show.
Yeah.
Did a good job, man. I know we're together on the Tuesday show, Big Three podcast. But yeah, you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I think that's Spotify, right? Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, everywhere, man. YouTube. Share, like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Apple Podcast page so you know when the show is dropping. Same thing on YouTube. Hit that notification and so you know when a new episode is coming out. And yeah, we'll be back next week, man. And like I said, Kyle, welcome to the show, man. You did a good job today, man.
Yeah.
And welcome to the team, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. And extending the invitation to me. Had a lot of fun, so yeah, I'm happy to be here.
All right, y'all. Well, that should do it for tonight. Hope everyone has a pleasant weekend, and we'll be back next week, harder and better than ever, man.
Yep.